NE 9. 4, 5, 38. 10. 1, 9, 10. 4. Another Levite attested to the same trustworthy arrangement, in either his own name or that of a forefather. NE 9. 38. 10. 9, 12. Shebarim Sheba middle Dotrim Quarras. The place to which Menabai chased the Israelites, when they were unable to stand before the enemy after Achan's sin. Joe 7. 5. The site is unknown, except that it was near Ai. Certain translators prefer to render the Hebrew term as stoneworks or stone quarries rather than as Shebarim. B. La. Shebat. The post-exilic name of the 11th Jewish lunar month of the sacred calendar, but the 5th of the secular calendar. Zek 1. 7. Da 1. 3. 1 ch 27. 14. It corresponds to part of January and part of February. The meaning of the name is uncertain. This midwinter month comes somewhat after the peak of the heavy rains, but is still a time of major rainfall. Average temperatures run about 7 degrees C 45 degrees F in Jerusalem and about 10 degrees higher along the Mediterranean coast. The pink and white flowers of the almond tree are the first to brighten up the winter scenery and herald the approach of spring. Shabbat was not marked by any festival seasons in the Bible record. Sheba possibly, fracture. Breakdown. Crash. A son of Caleb by Maacah his concubine. Of the tribe of Judah. 1 ch 2. 48. Shebna H possibly a shortened form of Shebaniah. An officer of King Hezekiah. At one time Shebna was the steward over the house, presumably of Hezekiah. An influential position. Jehovah, however, directed Isaiah to denounce Shebna, prophesying that he would be pushed away from his position, apparently because of his pride and glory-seeking, shown by building himself a conspicuous sepulchre. His robe, sash, and dominion, together with the key of the house of David, were given instead to God's servant Eliakim. Isla 22. 15-24. Shebna was not stripped of all privileges, however, for when Sennacherib threatened Jerusalem in 732 BCE and Eliakim had become steward, Shebna was the royal secretary sent with Eliakim and the recorder to speak with Rabshakeh. With clothes ripped apart, they reported back to Hezekiah what had been said, and they were then sent to Isaiah to inquire of Jehovah. 2 Chi 18. 18. 19. 7. Isla 36. 3. 37. 7. Jesus said of the Queen of Sheba that she came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Lu 11. 31. She was impressed by what Solomon said, by what she saw of the prosperity of his kingdom, and by his wise organization of his staff. She pronounced the king's servants happy for being able to hear his wisdom, and she blessed Jehovah for putting him on the throne. 1 Chi 10. 2-9. 2 ch 9. 1-9 The queen gave Solomon 120 talents of gold valued now at $46,242,000 as well as balsam oil and precious stones. Solomon gave her gifts that apparently exceeded the value of the treasures she brought, and then she returned to her own land. 2 ch 9. 12. At Mo. Christ stated that this woman would rise up in the judgment and condemn the men of the first century generation. Mount 12. 42. Lu 11. 31 She had made an arduoso textoi acute miritra longo. Shebul 914 Shebu middle l he returned to God. Captive of God. The two men named Shebul are both alternately referred to as Shubael. 1. A Levitical son or descendant of Moses son Gershom. 1 ch 23. 15. 16 Shubael's paternal house was enrolled when David reorganized the Levitical services. 1 ch 24. 20, 30b, 31, being given duties that included caring for the stores. 1 ch 26. 24. 2. One of the sons of Heman and an expert musician selected by lot to head the 13th Division of Sanctuary Musicians. 1 ch 25. 4. 6, 9, 20. Shekania Shek middle dot Nar residents of Jehovah. 1. A descendant of Aaron, whose paternal house was selected by Lot as 10th of the 24 priestly divisions that David organized. 1 Ch 24. 1-3, 7, 11. 2. One of those entrusted with equal distribution of the tithes and other contributions in the priests' cities during Hezekiah's reign. 2 Ch 31. 12, 15. 3. A priest who returned to Jerusalem with Zerubbabel. Ne 12. 1, 3, 7. See Shabania no. 2. 4. A paternal house represented among the group that returned with Ezra in 468 BCE is right. 1, 3. 5. Head of the paternal house of Zatu, 300 males of which returned with Ezra, son of Jahaziel. Ezrite. 1, 5. 6. The son of Jehiel of the sons of Elam, who suggested to Ezra the covenant by which those in restored Judah having foreign wives volunteer to send them away. Ez 10. 2-4. 7. Father of the Shemaiah, who did repair work on Jerusalem's wall. Ne 3. 29. 8. Father-in-law of Tobiah the Ammonite, son of Ara. Ne 4. 3. 6. 17, 18. 9. A descendant of David who lived after the Babylonian exile. 1 Ch 3. 5, 9, 10, 21, 22. Shechem shoulder of land. 1. Son of Hivite chieftain Hummer. Ge 33. 19. Jos 24. 32 After Jacob settled near the city of Shechem Sino. 4. His daughter Dinah began associating with females of that city. The man Shechem, described as being the most honorable of the whole house of his father, saw Dinah and lay down with her and violated her. Then he fell in love with Dinah and wanted to marry her. But Jacob's sons were enraged about the affair and, with deceit, said that they could make marriage arrangements only with circumcised man. It was agreeable to Shechem and his father Hamor, and they convinced the Shechemites to get circumcised. However, before the males of Shechem could recover from being circumcised, Jacob's sons Simeon and Levi attacked the city, killing Hamor, Shechem, and all the other men. Ge 34. 1-31. 2. A son of Gilead of the tribe of Manasseh. Shechem became the family head of the Shechemites, who are not to be confused with the Canaanite inhabitants of Shechem. New 26. 28, 30, 31. Jos 17. 2. 3. A son of Shemida of the tribe of Manasseh. 1 Ch 7. 19. 4. An ancient city linked with Nablus or, more precisely, with Nebite el-Balata. PS 60. 6. 108. 7. Picture, Volume 1, p. 530 situated at the end of the narrow valley running between Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. Tel Balat lies about 48 kilometers 30 mi of Jerusalem. A good supply of water is available, and just east of the site there is a fertile plain. Anciently Shechem commanded the EW and NS roads traversing central Palestine. Compare JG 21. 19. Lacking the military advantage of being built on a mountain, the city depended on its fortifications for security. JG 9. 35. When Abraham first entered the Promised Land, he traveled as far as the site of Shechem and encamped near the big trees of Moreh, where he later built an altar. Ge 12. 6-9 Nearly 2 centuries afterward Jacob, upon returning from Paddan Aram, pitched camp in front of Shechem and purchased some land there. In reaction to their sister Dinah's being violated by Shechem the son of Hamor, the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, killed the men of the city. Ge 33. 18. 34. 31 At God's direction Jacob left Shechem but, before doing so, took all the foreign gods and deerings in the possession of his household and buried them under o textoi acute miritra longo. Sheep 915 statement was an elliptic one. If the ellipsis was filled in, Stephen's statement could read, Jacob went down into Egypt, and he deceased. And so did our forefathers, and they were transferred to Shechem and were laid in the tomb that Abraham had bought for a price with silver money, and in that bought from the sons of Hamor in Shechem. Acts 7. 15, 16. There is also a possibility that, since Jacob was Abraham's grandson, the potris could have been ascribed to Abraham as the patriarchal head. This would be using the name of the forefather as applying to and being used for the descendants, in the same manner as the names Israel, Jacob and others were later used. Compare Ho 11. 1, 3, 12. Mount 2. 15-18. Among the tribal allotments in the Promised Land, Shechem seems to have been within Manasseh's territory, being about 3 kilometers to me and W of the border town of Michmethath. Jos 17. 7. Since Shechem is described as being in the Mount Venus region of Ephraim, it may have been an Ephraimic enclave city in Manasseh territory. Jos 16. 9. 1 ch 6. 67. The city was thereafter assigned with other Ephraimic cities to the Levites and given sacred status as a city of refuge. Jos 21. 20, 21. Just before his death, Joshua assembled all the tribes of Israel at Shechem, encouraging them to serve Jehovah. Jos 24. 1-29. Although the Israelites had covenanted at Shechem to uphold true worship, the inhabitants of that city began worshipping Baal-berith. JG 8. 33. 9. For they also supported the efforts of Abimelech the son of Judge Gideon and his Shechemite concubine to become king. But, in time, they revolted against King Abimelech. In crushing the revolt, Abimelech destroyed the city and sowed it with salt, this perhaps being symbolic of desiring lasting desolation. JG 8. 31-33. 9. 1-49. Compare PS 107. 33, 34. See Abimelech no. 4. Baal-berith. Later Shechem was rebuilt. That it became an important city is suggested by the fact that Hoboam was installed as king there. 1 Chi 12. 1 After the division of the kingdom, Jeroboam, first king of the northern kingdom, had building work done at Shechem and apparently ruled from there for a time. 1 Chi 12. 25 centuries later, in 607 BCE after the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, men from Shechem came to Jerusalem for worship. J 41. 5. Shechemites Shechem Middleites of belonging to Shechem. The descendants of Manasseh through Shechem. New 26. 29, 31. Sheda Shedi Middle. Possibly, Light of the Almighty. A Reubenite whose son Elijah was appointed by Jehovah to be chieftain of their tribe in the wilderness. New 1. 5. 2. 10. 7. 30, 35. 10. 18. Sheep. One of the principal animals of pastoral life. GE 24. 35. 26. 14. Sheep are ruminants, or cudchewers. As is the case today, the predominant variety of ancient Palestine may have been the broad-tailed sheep, distinguished by its prominent fatty tail, generally weighing about 5 kilograms 11 pounds or more. Compare X 29. 22. Law 3. 9. Generally sheep were white in color. 6. 6, though they were also dark brown and parti-colored ones. GE 30. 32. In a pastoral society men of great wealth, such as Job, had thousands of sheep. Job 1. 3, 16. 42. 12. The Israelites probably kept some lambs as pets. 2 So 12. 3. Jer 11. 19. Without a shepherd, domestic sheep are helpless and fearful. They get lost and scattered and are at the complete mercy of their enemies. New 27. 16, 17. Jer 23. 4. S34. 5, 6, 8. Mic 5. 8 sheep allow themselves to be led, and they faithfully follow their shepherd. They can learn to recognize his voice and to respond to him alone. Joe 10. 2-5 illustrating this is a passage from Researches in Greece and the Levant, by J. Hartley, London, 1831, pages 321, 322. Having had my attention directed last night to the words in John X. 3. I asked my man if it was usual in Greece to give names to the sheep. He informed me that it was, and that the sheep obeyed the shepherd when otextoi acute miritra longo, sheep 916 Jos 6. 4-6, 8, 13. 1-16. One sheepskins sometimes served as clothing heavy 11. 37, and ram skins that had been dyed red were used in the construction of the tabernacle. X26. 14 sheep's wool furnished the fiber for what was probably the most common material for clothing. Job 31. 20. PR 27. 26 sheep served as an important item of trade. Des 27. 21, and they were even used to pay tribute. 2 Chi 3. 4. 2 Ch 17. 11 Both the milk and the meat of sheep were items of diet. The 14. 4. 32. 14. 2 17. 29. Issa 7. 21, 22 Mutton and lamb were enjoyed regularly by kings, governors, and others. 1 8. 17. 1 Chi 4. 22, 23. Any 5. 18. Am 6. 4. The meat was prepared by boiling or roasting. For the Passover, a year-old ram or male goat was roasted whole after the skin was removed and the internal organs were cleaned. X12. 5, 9 When a sheep was prepared by boiling, the animal was first skinned and then disjointed. At times the bones were cracked open to free the marrow. Both the flesh and the bones were boiled in a large vessel. As 24. 3-6, 10. Mic 3. 1-3 Once the meat was cooked, it was removed from the pot, and the remaining broth was served separately. Compare JG 6. 19. Serving lamb to a guest was a gesture of hospitality. 2 12. 4. The time for shearing the sheep was looked forward to with anticipation, as it was much like a harvest. Feasting and rejoicing attended the event. 1 25. 2, 11, 36. 2 13. 23, 24, 28. The Mosaic law prohibited eating the fat of sheep. 7. 23-25, as well as slaughtering a sheep and its young one on the same day. 22. 28 It also included provisions for handling matters involving straying sheep and loss, maiming, or theft of sheep. X22. 1, 4, 9-13. De 22. 1, 2 Israel's obedience to God's laws determined whether their flocks and herds would be blessed or cursed. De 7. 12, 13. 28. 2, 4, 15, 18, 31, 51. Sheep had from earliest times been offered in sacrifice. GE 4. 2, 4. 22. 7, 8, 13. Job 42. 8 Under the law, all firstborn male lambs were to be sacrificed, but not until at least 8 days old. To redeem a firstborn male ass, a sheep was to be offered. X34. 19, 20. 22. 27 rams were presented as guilt offerings. 5. 15, 16, 18. 6. 6. Burnt offerings. 9. 3. 16. 3. 23. 12, and communion sacrifices. 9. 4. And a ram served as an installation offering for the Aaronic priesthood. X29. 22. Late. 22-28 daily, 2-year-old rams constituted the constant burnt offering. X29. 38-42 at the start of the months and in connection with the annual festivals, aside from the constant burnt offering, rams and male lambs were sacrificed. New 28. 11, 17-19, 26, 27. 29. 1-38 The ram was such a prominent feature of Israel's offerings that the Prophet Samuel used fat of rams in parallel with sacrifice. 1-15. 22 However, at times female lambs could be presented as communion sacrifices. 3. 6. Sin offerings. 4. 32. New 6. 14. And guilt offerings. 5. 6. Prophetic and figurative use. In the scriptures, sheep often denote the defenseless, innocent, and, at times, abused people of Jehovah. 2-24. 17. PS 44. 11, 22. 95. 7. 119. 176. Mount 10. 6, 16. Joe 21. 16, 17. Row 8. 36 Under unfaithful shepherds or leaders, the Israelites as God's sheep suffered greatly. Through his prophet Ezekiel, Jehovah presents a most pathetic picture of neglect. The flock itself you do not feed. The sickened ones you have not strengthened, and the ailing one you have not healed, and the broken one you have not bandaged, and the dispersed one you have not brought back, and the lost one you have not sought to find, but with harshness you have had them in subjection, even with tyranny. And they were gradually scattered because of there being no shepherd, so that they became food for every wild beast of the field. S 34. 3-5 By contrast, Jesus' sheep, both the little flock and the other sheep, who follow his lead, are well cared for. Luke 12. 32. Joe 10. O textoi acute miritra longo, shake 917 horns like a lamb, suggestive of a pretense of inoffensiveness. Similarly, Jesus spoke of false prophets as wolves in sheep's covering, hence dangerous, although appearing to be harmless. Mount 7. 15. The trembling of Mount Sinai at the time of Jehovah's giving the law to Israel. X 19. 18 seems to be alluded to under the figure of mountains skipping about like rams. PS 114. 4-6. Compare PS 29. 5, 6. 68. 8. Wild sheep. The Hebrew word to has been variously translated wild bull kj, antelope as, and gazelle. However, Lexicon in Veteris Testamenti Libras, by Kuhler and Baumgartner Leiden, 1958, p. 1016, gives wild sheep as a possible rendering, and it is thus translated at Deuteronomy 14. 5 and Isaiah 51. 20. Wild sheep are distinguished from domestic sheep by their outer coat, which is of course hair rather than wool. The variety of wild sheep that is now geographically closest to Palestine is the Armenian wild sheep Ovis millini, found in the mountain ridges of Asia Minor and eastern Iran. The ram of this variety measures less than 0.9 meters, 3 feet high at the shoulder. Sheepfold. The enclosure into which the sheep were usually brought for the night to protect them from thieves and predatory animals. Although caves and other natural shelters were also used, often sheepfolds were permanent pens having stone walls. New 32. 16. 1-24. 3. Zep 2. 6 and an entranceway. Joe 10. 1 As in more recent times, the branches of thorny plants may have covered the tops of the stone walls. There may also have been low, flat buildings on the protected side of the enclosure, where the sheep were sheltered in severe weather. Whereas the flocks of several shepherds might be kept in the same sheepfold, there was no danger of confusion. The sheep responded only to the voice of their respective shepherds. A doorkeeper served at the entranceway of the sheepfold and opened to the shepherds in the morning. Joe 10. 2-4. Sheep gate. Sea gate, gateway. Shia Erishii middle dot ra from a root meaning remain over. A daughter of Ephraim or of his son Beri. She is mentioned as building or founding Lower and Upper Beth Horon in Uzain Shia era, though this may have been done by some of her descendants. 1ch7. 22-24. Shaharashi Riaja has looked for. Head of a Benjamite family living in Jerusalem. Son or descendant of Jeroham. 1ch8. 1, 26-28. Sheikh. A title usually given to the Edomite and Horite tribal chiefs, the sons of Esau and the sons of Seir the Horite. X15. 15 in Hebrew the designation is al-loop, meaning chief, leader of 1,000. CGE 36. 15, FTN. The ancient Edomite and Horite designation corresponds to the title sheikh as used for tribal leaders among modern Bedouin. In some Bible translations such titles as chief, chieftain, and duke are used instead of sheikh. 7 sheikhs of the Horites are listed, all sons of Seir. GE 36. 20, 21, 29, 30 The sheikhs of Edom were evidently 14 in number. 7 grandsons from Esau's firstborn Eliphaz the son of his wife Ada, 4 grandsons from his son Reuel the son of his wife Basemath, and 3 of his sons by his shepherd's hut with stony enclosed sheepfold. Shekel 918 wife Oholibamah. GE 36. 15-19 There is a question, however, whether the Sheikh Korah who is included among the sons of Eliphaz should be counted. If the inclusion of the Sheikh Korah is a scribal error, as some believe, this would mean that there were only 13 sheikhs of Edom. GE 36. 16. FTN The clans that developed from the sheikhs came to bear their names as clan names. At Genesis 36. 40-43 and 1 Chronicles 1. 51-54 a different listing is given of the sheikhs of Esau Edom. These may be later sheikhs than those listed earlier. Some commentators, however, believe the names to be those, not of persons, but of the cities or regions where the various sheikdoms were centered. Following this view, the translation of the Jewish Publication Society reads: the chief of Timnah, the chief of Alva, and so forth. Shekel. The basic Hebrew unit of weight 1 to 17. 5, 7. As 4. 10. 8. 5 and of monetary value. Based on the average of some 45 inscribed shekel weights, the shekel may be reckoned at 11.4 grams, 0.403 oz. 0.367 oz. 1 shekel equaled 20 gerahs new 3. 47. 18. 16, and there is evidence that 50 shekels equaled 1 mina. See mina. Calculated in modern values, a shekel of silver would be worth $2. 20, and a shekel of gold, $128. 45. The shekel is often referred to in connection with silver or gold. 1ch 21. 25. Any 5. 15 Before coins were used, pieces of silver and, less frequently, gold were used for money, the weight being checked at the time the transaction was made. GE 23. 15, 16. Joe 7. 21 Things pertaining to the tabernacle were sometimes stated in terms of shekels by the shekel of the holy place. X 30. 13. The 5. 15. 27. 2-7, 25 This may have been to emphasize that the weight should be precise or, perhaps, that it should conform to a standard weight kept at the tabernacle. It is generally thought that the silver pieces often mentioned in the Hebrew scriptures were silver shekels, the standard monetary unit. JG 16. 5. 1 Chi 10. 29. Ho 3. 2 This is borne out by the Septuagint in which the Greek word for silver pieces at Genesis 20. 16 is the same as the Greek word for shekels at Genesis 23. 15, 16 as well as by the Targums. According to Jeremiah 32. 9, the prophet paid 7 shekels and 10 silver pieces for a field. Perhaps this was simply a legal formula meaning 17 silver shekels as, rs, or possibly, it meant 7 gold shekels and 10 silver shekels. 2 Samuel 14. The 26th of May indicate that there was a royal shekel different from the common shekel, or the reference may be to a standard weight kept at the royal palace. Sheila. 1. Heb. Shilak, possibly, Missile. Son of Arpachshad and grandson of Shem, who was born in 2333 BCE and died in 1900 BCE at the age of 433. Sheila and one of his sons, Eber, each founded one of the 70 post-flood families. Through Eber ran the genealogical line that led from Shem to Abraham and finally to Jesus. GE 10. 22, 24. 11. 12-15. 1ch1. 18, 24. Lu 3. 35. 2. Heb. Shemiddle-Dotla, possibly, petition. The third son of Judah by his Canaanite wife. 1ch2. 3 Tamar should have been given in levirate marriage to Sheila but was not. GE 38. 1-5, 11-14, 26 Sheila's descendants, some of whom, with their places of settlement, are listed by name, formed the tribal family of Sheilanites. Some of these returned from Babylonian exile. New 26. 20. 1ch4. 21-23. 9. 5. NE 11. 5. Sheilanites Shemiddle-Dotla of belonging to Sheila. A family of Judah founded by Sheila. New 26. 20 Some scholars believe that Sheilanite instead of the Masoretic text Sheilanite should appear at Nehemiah 11. 5, in the listing of those who lived in Jerusalem after the exile. Shalima Yishul middle. Jehovah is recompense. Or, communion sacrifice of Jehovah. 1. A Levitical gatekeeper assigned by lot to the E of the sanctuary during David's reign. 1ch 26. 14. Semeshalemia. 2. Grandfather of Joachim Zotextoi acute Miritra Longo, Shem 919 Shelef. The second named son of Joktan. Founder of one of the early post-flood families. GE 10. 26. 1ch1. 20 Arabian equivalents of this name are found in Sabine inscriptions dated before the 7th century BCE that speak of a Raminate district of Salaf or Salaf. Another form of the name may have survived in Sulaf, a place about 100 kilometers 60 miles of Sana'a, the capital of the Republic of Yemen. These similarities, however, only suggest in a general way where Shelef's descendants settled. Shelash III. 3 parts. An Asherate son of Helam. Head of a family and an outstanding warrior. 1ch7. 30, 35, 40. Shelamishi Middle-Lomi from a root meaning peace. An Asherah whose chieftain son was appointed to help divide the promised land among Israel's tribes. New 34. 17, 18, 27. Shelomoth Middle-Lomith from a root that means peace. 1. Hodanite daughter of Dibri, whose son by an Egyptian was put to death in the wilderness for abusing Jehovah's name. La 24. 10-14, 23. 2. A Kohathite Levite of the family of Shah. Also called Shelomoth. 1ch 23. 12, 18. 24. 22. 3. A Levite descendant of Maziz's son Eliezer. Also called Shelomoth. 1ch 26. 25-28. 4. Son of Judean King Hobom by his favorite wife Ma'akah. Brother of King Abijah. 2ch 11. 20-23. 12. 16. 5. Daughter of Governor Zerubbabel. 1ch 3. 19. 6. Son of Jezipir and head of the paternal house of Bani. Shelomoth, accompanied by 160 males, came to Jerusalem with Ezra. Ezrate. 1, 10. Shelomoth Middle-Lomoth from a root that means peace. 1. Head of a paternal house among the descendants of Levi's son Gershon. 1ch 23. 6, 7, 9. 2. a Kohathite Levite of the family of Shah, also known as Shalomith. 1 Ch 23. 12, 18. 24. 22. 3. A Levite descendant of Moses through his son Eleazar. David placed Shelomoth and his brothers in charge of the treasures of holy things, including sanctified war spoil taken by the Israelites. 1 Ch 26. 25-28 He was also called Shalomith. Shalumil Shemidl.Lumimidl.L Peace of God. A Simeonite chieftain. Shalumil assisted with the national census that was taken about a year after the exodus from Egypt. He was chieftain of the army of Simeon. Also, he presented his offering when the tabernacle altar was inaugurated. New 1. 4, 6. 2. 12. 7. 36-41. 10. 19. Shem name. Fame. One of Noah's 3 sons. From these all the earth's population spread abroad following the global flood. GE 6. 10. 9. 18, 19. Although the 3 sons are consistently listed as Shem, Ham and Japheth, there is some uncertainty as to their relative positions according to age. The fact that Shem is mentioned first is of itself no definite indication that Shem was Noah's firstborn, since Shem's own firstborn son Arpachshad is listed 3rd in the genealogical records. GE 10. 22. 1 Ch 1. 17 in the original Hebrew, Genesis 10. 21 allows for more than one possible translation, some translations referring to Shem as the brother of Japheth the oldest elder, KJ, while others call him the older, at brother of Japheth. As, Di, RS, JB, Ro the ancient versions likewise differ. The Septuagint, the translation by Symmachus, and the Targum of Enkelos present Japheth as the older, while the Samaritan Pentateuch, the Latin Vulgate, and the Syriac versions place Shem as the older brother of Japheth. The weight of evidence found in the rest of the Bible record, however, indicates that Shem likely was Noah's second son, younger than Japheth. The record shows that Noah began to father sons after reaching 500 years of age 2470 BCE, the deluge occurring in his 600th year. GE 5. 32. 7. 6 already married at the time of the deluge. GE 6. 18. Shem is stated to have fathered his first son, Arpachshad, 2 years after the deluge 2368 BCE when he, Shem, was 100 years old. GE 11. 10 This would mean that Shem was born when Noah was 502 years of age 2468 BCE? And since O textoi acute miritra longo, Shema 920 in the southwestern corner of the Asiatic continent, extending throughout most of the Fertile Crescent and occupying a considerable portion of the Arabian Peninsula. See articles under the names of the individual sons of Shem. When Shem and his brother Japheth covered over their father's nakedness at the time of Noah's being overcome by wine, they showed not only filial respect, but also respect for the one whom God had used to effect their preservation during the flood. GE 9. 20-23 Thereafter, in the blessing Noah pronounced, indication was given that the line of Shem would be particularly favored by God and would contribute to the sanctification of God's name, Noah referring to Jehovah as Shem's God. GE 9. 26 It was from Shem, through his son Arpachshad, that Abraham descended, and to him was given the promise concerning the seed in whom all the families of the earth would receive a blessing. 1 Ch 1. 24-27. GE 12. 1-3. 22. 15-18 Noah's prediction concerning Canaan's becoming a slave to Shem was fulfilled by the Semitic subjugation of the Canaanites as a result of the Israelite conquest of the land of Canaan. GE 9. 26. Shem lived 500 years after fathering Arpachshad, dying at the age of 600 years. GE 11. 10. 11 His death thus occurred some 13 years after the death of Sarah 1881 BCE and 10 years after the marriage of Isaac and Rebekah 1878 BCE. In view of this, it has been suggested that Shem may have been Melchizedek, meaning king of righteousness, the king-priest to whom Abraham paid tithes. GE 14. 18-20 The Bible record does not say this, however, and the Apostle Paul shows that no available genealogical record or other vital statistics were left concerning Melchizedek, so that he became an apt type of Christ Jesus, who is king priest perpetually. Heb 7. 1-3. Shema Shema. 1-4. Melodious Sound 1. A son of Hebron and father of Raham in the line of Judah's descendants through Caleb. 1ch2. 42-44. 2. A descendant of Reuben. 1ch5. 3-8. 3. Head of a Benjamite household that settled in Ajalon and one of those who chased away the inhabitants of Gath. 1ch8. 12, 13 probably the same as Shemain 1 Chronicles 8. 21, they're identified as a father of 9 sons. 1ch8. 19-21. 4. One of the 6 who stood on Ezra's right when he read the law to the assembled people. Probably a priest. Eni 8. 4. 5. A city within Judah's southern territory Jos 15. 21, 26, perhaps the same as Simeon's enclave city Sheba. Jos 19. 1, 2 some suggest that it was the same as Jeshua and identify it with Tel Esawet El Yeshua, about 15 kilometers 9.5 million of Beersheba. Shemashi middle ma'ar from a root meaning here. Listen. A Benjamite of Gibeah whose 2 sons Ahiezer and Josh defected from Saul to David at Ziklag. 1ch12. 1-3. Shemashi middle ma'ar meaning Jehovah has heard listened. 1. A Simeonite whose distant descendants joined the expedition that seized grazing territory from Canaanites in the days of Hezekiah. 1ch4. 24, 37-41. 2. A son of Joel in the tribe of Reuben. 1ch5. 3, 4. 3. Chief of the Levitical house of Elizaphan. Shemaiah and 200 of his brothers, having sanctified themselves, were in the procession that brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. 1ch15. 4, 8, 11-16. 4. Secretary of the Levites, who recorded the 24 priestly divisions organized according to David's instruction. Son of Nethanel. 1ch24. 6. 5. Firstborn son of Obed-Edom, Elvite. Shema and his sons were all enrolled as gatekeepers assigned to the sanctuary storehouses. 1ch26. 1, 4, 6, 7, 12, 13, 15. 6. A prophet of Jehovah during the reign of Solomon's son Rehoboam. Following the revolt of the 10 northern tribes in 997 BCE, Shemaiah pronounced Jehovah's words forbidding an attempt by Rehoboam to reconquer them. 1 12. 21-24. 2ch11. 1-4 In Rehoboam's 5th year 993 BCE Egyptian king Shishak invaded Judah, and Shemaiah informed Rehoboam o textoi acute miritra longo Shema 921-10. One of the Levite chieftains who made a generous contribution of animal victims for Josiah's great Passover celebration. 2ch35. 1, 9. 11. Father of Urijah, a prophet contemporary with Jeremiah. From Kiriath Jearim. 26. 20. 12. Father of Delaiah, a Judean prince during the reign of Jehoiakim. 36. 12. 13. A false prophet of the town of Nehelam and opponent of Jeremiah, taken captive to Babylon with Jehoiachin in 617 BCE. From there he wrote back to the priest Zephaniah and associate priests in Jerusalem, condemning Jeremiah for foretelling a long exile and for urging the exiles to settle down in Babylonia. Shemaiah contended that Jeremiah should be put in stocks. Jehovah, however, prophesied that because Shemaiah attempted to make the Jews trust in falsehood and he spoke outright revolt, neither he nor his offspring would be among the returning exiles. 29. 24-32. 14. A priest, and likely the founder of a priestly family, who returned to Jerusalem with Zerubbabel in 537 BCE. In the following generation, Jehonathan headed Shemaiah's paternal house. Any 12. 1, 6, 7, 12, 18th their representative, or some other priest of the same name, attested to the national covenant during Nehemiah's governorship. Any 10. 1, 8. 15. A Levite descended from Jeduthun, whose son or descendant Obadiah lived in Jerusalem after the exile. 1 ch 9. 16, 34. 16. A Levite of the descendants of Merari, who also lived in Jerusalem sometime after the Babylonian exile. Son of Hishshub. 1 ch 9. 14, 34. Any 11. 15. 17. A leader of the sons of Adoniram who accompanied Ezra to Jerusalem in 468 BCE. He is possibly one of those whom Ezra had dispatched to request ministers for the sanctuary, resulting in the gathering of some Levites and Nethinim for the journey. Ezrate. 1, 13, 16-20. 18. One of the priests whom Ezra, on arriving in Jerusalem, encouraged to send away the foreign wives they had taken. Son of Harim. Ez 10. 10, 11, 21, 44. 19. One of the Israelites, son of another Harim, who had also taken foreign wives but who sent them away. Ez 10. 25, 31, 44. 20. One of those who helped repair Jerusalem's wall. Son of Shechaniah, and a gatekeeper, therefore probably a Levite. Any 3. 29. 21. The false prophet hired by Tobiah and Sanballat to tell Nehemiah of a supposed threat on his life, in this way trying to frighten Nehemiah, who was not a priest, into committing a sin by hiding in the temple. Son of Delaiah. Any 6. 10-13. 22. One in the inaugural march arranged by Nehemiah after the wall of Jerusalem was rebuilt. Any 12. 31-34. 23. A priest of the family of Asaph whose descendant marched in the same procession, evidently as a trumpeter. Any 12. 31, 35. 24. A priestly musician in the same procession. Apparently a relative of No. 23. Any 12. 31, 36. 25. A priest who apparently played the trumpet when the two Thanksgiving choirs met at the house of Jehovah on the occasion of the wall's inauguration. Any 12. 40-42. 26. A distant descendant of David. 1 ch 3. 9, 10, 22. Some scholars think that the words in the sons of Shemaiah, in the middle of verse 22 which is followed by only 5 names, should be omitted as a scribal error, thus crediting Shechaniah with 6 sons. However, other scholars suggest that Shemaiah and his 5 sons were reckoned as the 6 descendants of Shechaniah. Shumarisha Ria meaning Jehovah has guarded. 1. One of the ambidextrous Benjamite warriors who joined David while he was a fugitive at Ziklag. 1 ch 12. 1, 2, 5. 2. A son of King Hoboam, hence a great-grandson of David. 2 ch 11. 18, 19. 3. One of the sons of Harim who dismissed their foreign wives and sons when Ezra came back to Jerusalem. Ez 10. 31, 32, 44. 4. One of the sons of Binwi who had also taken foreign wives but sent them away. Ez 10. 38, 41, 44. Shemibasham Eber. The king of Zeboiim whom Chedorlaomer and his allies defeated in the lower plain of Siddim. O textoi acute miritra longo, Shemida 922, 3. The owner of the hill of Samaria. Possibly a tribe rather than an individual, for Samaria means belonging to the clan Shema. Israelite King Omri bought the mountain for 2 talents of silver $13,212 and began ruling from there in about 945 BCE 1 Chi 16. 23, 24. Shemida Midah. The son of Gilead and great-grandson of Manasseh. From Shemida's 4 sons grew a tribal family, the Shemidates, that was numbered in the second wilderness census and received a territory allotment in the promised land. New 26. 2, 29-32. Joes 17. 2. 1ch7. 19. Shumidates Shemidal.Midar-Middle.ites of belonging to Shemida, a family of Manasseh founded by Shemida. New 26. 29, 32. Sheminath Shemai Middle.Nith. Although the literal meaning of this musical term is the eighth, its exact significance is uncertain. It may refer to a particular musical register, or mode, a lower one, and if any musical instruments were associated with the term, they would probably be those used to play the bass tones of the musical scale. At 1 Chronicles 15. 21, harps are spoken of as being tuned to Sheminat, possibly referring to the eighth key or a lower octave, NWFTN. Probably the bass octave, DAR-FTNZ. Consistently, the superscriptions of Psalms 6 and 12, both psalms being of somber character, read to the director on stringed instruments on the lower octave Sheminith, which may indicate that these songs would be accompanied by music in a lower range and sung accordingly. See Alamoth. Shemiramoth Shemiddle.Mira-Middle.Moth. 1. A Levite musician who accompanied the Ark of the Covenant from Obed-Edom's house to Jerusalem and was afterwards stationed to play before its tent. 1ch 15. 17, 18, 20, 25. 16. 1, 4, 5. 2. One of the Levites whom Jehoshaphat sent out to teach the law to the people in 934 BCE. 2ch 17. 7-9. Shemuel Shemiddle.Muel, name of God. The same Hebrew name is also translated Samuel. 1. Head of a forefather's house. Son or descendant of Issachar's son Tola. 1ch 7. 1, 2. 2. Sire means tribal representative to the delegation that divided the promised land into tribal allotments. Son of Ammihud. New 34. 17, 18, 20. Shenazar Shemiddle.Nazar from Akkadion, meaning sing the moon god, protect. Phouth named son of Jehoiachin Jeconiah, born during his exile in Babylon. 1ch 3. 17, 18. Seshish Bazar. Sheol. The common grave of mankind, gravidum. Not an individual burial place or grave heb. Q. Eva, JG 16. 31. Kavumiddle.Ra, JE 35. 20, nor an individual tomb heb. Gemiddle.Hish, Job 21. 32. While several derivations for the Hebrew word Sheol have been offered, apparently it is derived from the Hebrew verb shamiddle.al, meaning ask. Request. Regarding Sheol, in a compendious Hebrew lexicon, Samuel Pike stated that it is the common receptacle or region of the dead. So called from the insatiability of the grave, which is as it were always asking or craving more. Cambridge, 1811, p. 148. The Hebrew word Sheol occurs 65 times in the Masoretic text. In the King James Version, it is translated 31 times as hell, 31 times as grave, and 3 times as pit. The Catholic Douay Version rendered the word 63 times as hell, once as pit, and once as death. In addition, at Isaiah 7:11 the Hebrew text originally read Sheol, and it was rendered as Hades in the ancient Greek versions of Aquila, Symmachus, and Theodotion, and as hell in the Douay Version. CNWFTN. There is no English word that conveys the precise sense of the Hebrew word Sheol. Commenting on the use of the word hell in Bible translation, Collier's Encyclopedia 1986, Volume 12, p. 28 says, since Sheol in Old Testament times referred simply to the abode of the dead and suggested no moral distinctions, the word hell, as understood today, is not a happy translation. More recent versions transliterate the word into English as Sheol. R.S. at N.W. Regarding Sheol, the Encyclopaedia Britannica 1971, Volume O Texto e Acute Muritra Longo, Shefela 923 Sheol is in front of him, and that God is in effect there. PR 15. 11. PS 139. 7, 8. AM 9. 1, 2. For this reason Job, longing to be relieved of his suffering, prayed that he might go to Sheol and later be remembered by Jehovah and be called out from Sheol. Job 14. 12-15. Throughout the inspired scriptures, Sheol is continually associated with death and not life. 1 Sah 2. 6. 2 Sah 22. 6. PS 18. 4, 5. 49. 7-10, 14, 15. 88. 2-6. 89. 48. Issa 28. 15-18. Also compare PS 116. 3, 7-10 with 2 4. 13, 14. It is spoken of as the land of darkness. Job 10. 21 and a place of silence. PS 115. 17. Abel apparently was the first one to go to Sheol, and since then countless millions of human dead have joined him in the dust of the ground. On the day of Pentecost 33 CE the Apostle Peter quoted from Psalm 16. 10 and applied it to Christ Jesus. Luke, in quoting Peter's words, used the Greek word Hades, thereby showing that Sheol and Hades refer to the same thing, mankind's common grave. Act 2. 25-27, 29-32. During the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ, Sheol, or Hades, is emptied and destroyed, through a resurrection of all of those in it. Read 20. 13, 14. See grave. Hades. Hell. Jonah and Sheol. In the account about Jonah, it is stated that Jonah prayed to Jehovah his God from the inward parts of the fish and said, "Out of my distress I called out to Jehovah, and he proceeded to answer me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried for help. You heard my voice." John 2. 1, 2. Therefore, Jonah was comparing the inside of the fish to Sheol. He was as good as dead inside the fish, but Jehovah brought up his life from the pit, or Sheol, by preserving him alive and having him disgorged. John 2. 6. Compare PS 30. 3. Jesus compared Jonah's being in the belly of the fish with what would happen in his own case, saying, "For just as Jonah was in the belly of the huge fish 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. Mount 12. 40. Although Jesus did not here use the word Sheol Hades, the Apostle Peter did use the word Hades when referring to Jesus' death and resurrection. Act 2. 27. Regarding the word Sheol, Brynmore F. Price and Eugene A. Neder noted, the word occurs often in the Psalms and in the book of Job to refer to the place to which all dead people go. It is represented as a dark place, in which there is no activity worthy of the name. There are no moral distinctions there, so hell KJV is not a suitable translation, since that suggests a contrast with heaven as the dwelling place of the righteous after death. In a sense, the grave in a generic sense is a near equivalent, except that Sheol is more a mass grave in which all the dead dwell together. The use of this particular imagery may have been considered suitable here in Jonah 2. 2. In view of Jonah's imprisonment in the interior of the fish. A Translator's Handbook on the Book of Jonah, 1978, p. 37. Shechem Shepham. A site on the eastern border of the Promised Land, apparently no great distance from Riplah. New 34. 10, 11. Its location is now unknown. Shephatia Sheph tr Jehovah has judged. 1. One of the Benjamite warriors who defected from Saul to David at Ziklag. A Horibite. 1 Ch 12. 1, 2, 5. 2. The fifth son born to David while he was ruling in Hebron 1077 through 1070 BCE. Shephatia's mother was Abigail. 2 Ch 3. 2, 4. 1 Ch 3. 1, 3. 3. Prince of the tribe of Simeon during David's reign. Son of Maacah. 1 Ch 27. 16, 22. 4. A son of Jehoshaphat given many gifts and fortified cities by his father, later slain by his oldest brother Jehoram. 2 Ch 21.